music community sessions, they're all about bringing the community together to share information, ideas, and best practices. So a huge thank you to our amazing hosts, East Iris, UMG, the AES Nashville Section, Terry, thank you so much for helping to make this happen. Our partners in Rivian and Sonos. So this is a really exciting day because it's all about creative empowerment. It's about giving you the most progressive workflows and tools to do the work that you want and need to do. So we might break your brain on a couple of different things, but it's really all about an exchange of ideas, an exchange of information, and unlocking the power and the potential of creating original music in Dolby Atmos, deriving your stereo from it, and all of the different benefits and workflow advantages that come along with that. So one of the key pieces of these next couple of days, and we're doing 2 days, hopefully many of you, who's going to be here for the workshop tomorrow? Anyone? All right,
excellent.
Cool. It's really all about showcasing translation from the studio with creative intent to consumer playback devices, right? So there's an amazing couple of Sonos experiences over there, including a gangster one that you may not have actually seen out in the wild yet, but is there to showcase translation. Our friends from Rivian are here to make sure that you are able to experience Dolby Atmos in one of what is, I think I last heard 20 automobile companies, so it's jumped in by 4 in the last couple of days. Automobile manufacturers
That's how we roll.
that are enabled for Dolby Atmos, and it's about like real world ways that you, your fans, consumers, music lovers can listen to and experience Dolby Atmos with that promise of translation and creative intent maintained all the way throughout, from studio to consumer playback. So how many mix engineers do we have in the room?
Excellent.
Okay. How many mastering engineers?
Excellent. Put your hands up higher, mastering engineers. There you go.
Awesome. How many producers?
Excellent.
Okay. Awesome. How many artists? Love it. How many label people and managers?
Nice.
Okay. How many music fans? All right. Cool. Well, this is all about you. This is for you. We're super happy to do this together, and it's going to be a fun couple of days. So meet your neighbor. Make sure that you understand that this is an open format for discussion. We don't really mean to be up here talking at you. It's about an exchange. So at the end of each session, there'll be room for Q&A as well, and we've got a really fun program planned, starting with Christine Thomas and myself here. Like I mentioned, we're also going to capture and put these up on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't seen any of our music community sessions in the past, make sure you check them out. We have really fantastic discussions with mix and mastering engineers and producers from all over the world, going back 4 years, even predating what you might think were some of the first ones. So there's a lot of gold in there, going pretty far back.
Indeed.
So what is the schedule here? So today we're going to do an ecosystem overview with Christine. That'll be followed by a creative discussion with Jeff Huskins. Who knows Jeff? He's awesome. The man who has mixed over 4,000 Dolby Atmos songs.
Incredible.
So he will be here. That'll be followed by a creating an Atmos discussion with Greg Chin. And we're going to introduce the rest of the Dolby Music Partnerships team here in a moment. So stay tuned. That'll be with our friends Kevin Reeves and Dustin Richardson, who have been so gracious to open their home and their studio to us. So thank you guys for that. We'll cap off the afternoon with a discussion on the mix and mastering relationship with Jeff Balding and Andrew Mendelson. If you know those guys, they'll be here to hang as well. And then for the evening reception, we thought Martin's Barbecue might be okay and maybe make the cut for you guys. So hopefully...
Really, it's just brought in for me.
Hopefully that's all right. Yeah, so that's an overview of the agenda for Saturday. And then for Sunday, it's all about the workshop. So this is about, again, meeting and mingling with your friends and neighbors, but it's really about showcasing and understanding how to create original music in Dolby Atmos, derive your stereo mix from that, and then take that to different consumer experiences to sort of understand translation and the best practices around that. So we'll ask everybody to bring an ADM on a thumb drive. You'll sit in here with us for a couple of minutes as we go over what that workflow is and what to expect. Then we'll break out into Studios D&E with Kevin and Dustin. We'll create a stereo re-render, a stereo direct deliverable right through the renderer of your ADM, and then we'll put that on a thumb drive and you can go check it out in various capacities. So that's exciting, and that's really what this is about. It's about getting hands-on with what the most progressive workflows are and what the tool set allows you to do today, and to exchange information and ideas. And
We always start in Nashville.
and a bunch of other stuff too. So the Dolby Music Partnerships team, who are we and what do we do? I'll invite my colleagues up to introduce themselves here in a moment, but really our team is all about creative enablement, technical enablement, and support of the creative community and the music industry. So we're here
Through partner enablement.
through partner enablement. So we're really here to make sure that you've got the tools and resources you need to do the work that you all do so beautifully. We're really about helping to connect various pieces of the ecosystem to the creative community that may need it, or through partner engagements, making sure that everything from the tools to studios to labels to distribution to streaming music services all the way through to OEMs, we can help touch each part of that ecosystem depending on what your needs are, your business priorities, your creative needs, and make sure that you've got a thorough understanding of that, and in many cases bring together partnership opportunities to grow your business. Yes, of course, this is very much about like the creative piece of it, which is where everything starts for Dolby Atmos, but Dolby's part of a global end-to-end ecosystem that begins with the creator and is distributed globally on to literally over 3 billion devices on 20 plus streaming music services. So we do a lot of work to like connect the dots and help educate on various bits of that ecosystem. And that's some of what you'll hear today and tomorrow. We're also really bringing the industry perspective to Dolby about what the needs of the creative community and the industry are. Dolby very much from its beginning has been about creating tools for studio engineers and for people to do this amazing work. And that comes from a feedback loop that we get from folks like you on what the needs are in the marketplace and in the creative community. So we spend a lot of time with our engineers saying, hey, here's what the mix and mastering engineers out there in the world need. How can we iterate on these tools, make them more musical, put the transport slider into the Dolby Atmos Renderer, you know, and all of those things.
And that's
So,
really fundamental. I mean, we don't just build for you, we build with you. And it's absolutely directly based on your feedback. So your feedback is paramount, and that's to Ben's point why we began doing these sessions several years ago, but it's also a thing that we've always done. It's inherent to Dolby's DNA. It is the way that Ray operated in the beginning, and it is the pull-through that is actualized here in this room.
Very much. And like I mentioned, we touch each part of the ecosystem, but I want to be very clear, like it's not just about support of major labels or partnerships with major labels. All labels are important. All creatives are important. So we work with a lot of independent labels and creators as well to make sure that they have the tools and the resources they need. And in many ways, we also do a lot of work, and you'll see Aaron, Nikita, and Emma, who are also here as well, to amplify the work of people in the creative community and our partners that are doing this amazing work through things like this, yes, but also like playback sessions or studio grand openings or partner events. If we've seen you out at industry events, you know, we're always talking about the next thing that we're going to be doing, or a playback or a screening or a partnership with a major label, an indie label in many cases. We love to help raise awareness to the work that they're doing. All creatives are important, and all of our partnerships throughout the music ecosystem, from major labels to indies, the biggest OEMs to the newest partners to come on board, are all
Streaming services,
essential.
right? Leveraging those resources as well.
So I'd like to introduce my colleagues here while we've got this up on the screen. One who was not able to be here today but sends his best is Jason Banks. And Jason's sort of our technical operations manager, if you will, and oversees our ecosystem health. So he touches a lot of the parts that I quite frankly find sort of boring. But he's quite deft at navigating those waters and making sure that we're well equipped in the marketplace to be able to support our partners, particularly for distribution and research. And OEMs as well. So he really gets into the technical weeds on a lot of the kind of like back end and technical operational processes and all of that.
And business strategy, really, you know, how do we work with whom, and really bringing what your requirements are into that thinking as well. So, and also then how to bring that back to you, right? How to serve you and your business needs. So strategy is really his focus.
Yeah. We also have Aaron Venables here, if you'd like to say hello, Aaron.
Hi. I'm Aaron Venables, Senior Industry Relations Manager for Music. I'm across kind of what you'd call content pipeline, so work with all of you folks, with mixers, producers, engineers, through to our streaming service partners and label partners, and through to OEM partners. I focus a lot on translation of the experience of the consumer ecosystem and help connect a lot of dots and get you to where you need to go in your Atmos journey.
Awesome.
Cool.
Erin touches so many different parts of this world that we're in. Chances are you've worked with her on something and you may not even know it. She's been involved in something you've got going on.
Hi everyone, I'm Emma Brooks. I lead our music studio enablement program in North America. I also manage our global music studio onboarding process and work closely with our incredible third-party partners, making sure we're all aligned on best practices for music rooms.
Awesome. Chances are if you have a studio, Emma knows about it. She's seen your Dart diagram. She's seen all the dirty stuff under the hood there. So she knows what's going on and how to make you sound amazing. I'm going to go to Nikita and then we'll finish with Greg here, my partner in the Music Community Sessions.
Hi all, I'm Nikita. I work closely with Christine, Ben, Aaron, Greg, Emma, everyone on this team. I work with the little nitty-gritty details that aren't always fun but very important, and I'm also very passionate about our philanthropic footprint that we have in our team. So it's lovely to meet you all.
Nikita does so many amazing things I can't even begin to list, but she is also the glue that keeps us all together and on track and on task. And
Absolutely.
She very much was responsible for organizing this and a lot of the moving parts. So thank you. And finally, my partner in the Music Community Sessions, Greg Chin.
Hi everybody, Greg Chin. No, please. Really happy to be here, just celebrating 1 year with Dolby, and it is awesome to be back in Nashville. I work with this really lovely and amazing and talented team, the Music Partnerships team. I'm the director for Creative Enablement, which means a very fancy way of saying that I work for you guys. I work for all of you, making sure that you've got what you need in your hands in terms of the tools, all the feedback. I know it's so lovely getting any email, phone call, or text anyone from Nashville, because it always leads with, I'm so sorry to reach out to you. Very kind, but don't worry, I really am. We're all here for you, so it's really awesome to be here. Great to be back, and very much looking forward to the next couple of days.
Fantastic.
Also an amazing DJ, producer, engineer in his own right. And I wasn't going to suggest that people call you, but he's the guy that'll answer the phone or email like at any time. So thank you, Greg, for what you do out there, man, and keeping it all together. And who are you and what's your role?
Well, just one more. And we have Tyrone Davis Jr. He is also not with us today, but Tyrone is across labels and creatives with a specific focus on A&R and R&B. And I'm Christine Thomas. As I mentioned, I'm the head of music partnerships. What does that mean? It means that we work with labels, with streaming partners, with the mixers, the producers, the mastering engineers, sometimes the indie artists in particular. We don't chase them, but they might chase us, which is a thrill. And then really, of course, not only inside at Dolby, but also sometimes as an extension with our auto partners and other OEM partners to really glue the ecosystem together for you so that it exists and the music that you make can be delivered with integrity, with fidelity, and you can have that confidence. That is what we do.
And do it beautifully. And we never need an excuse to come to Nashville. Oh. We're always so excited to come to Nashville. We've been there quite a few times.
This is home. This is family, and I think we fight for it a little bit.
Yeah. We love it. And I think one of the reasons is we're both such music lovers.
Yeah.
And like when you're here, you just can't help but feel that vibe. Yeah, like LA's got its own vibe, and New York and whatever, but like when you're here, it's really
they're posting this, right?
Feel it. You feel it. And it's like you can just kind of feel like the creative energy and the love. And it's close enough that everybody can kind of get together easily. And I think we always value these moments when we get into these rooms with folks like this.
Absolutely. Also, we love the transparency that you all bring. So know this, when I say we started here, we absolutely did. And we always try out new concepts with you. You hold us accountable, and we love you for that. And you're also brave, you're bold, and you'll generally try it first and call everyone and tell your friends. So we're here to do some of that this weekend. And we're excited to share with you what we're doing.
So with that, Christine, how about we share?
How are we doing?
Share how we're doing.
How are we doing? So the first time I was here for call it a community feedback session, I had to stomp around town and visit several studios, and my wares to sell was the dream that I had with several of my colleagues and several of you who were already far progressed in your adventures in Dolby Atmos for music. At that moment, there wasn't a music streaming service. there wasn't a distribution opportunity for you besides Shiny Disc, and you were still doing it, which is amazing. So here's where we are today. Thank you. I have to kind of look around him for just a little bit. Oh, thank you. He's giving me a cheat sheet. Okay, great. So this is just a sample because, because Jason Banks and our marketing team make beautiful slides, but we literally can't get all the logos onto the slide, which is a wonderful, wonderful challenge. But we wanted to give you just a sample because for fun, we just mocked this up kind of year on year, and literally it was like nothing and then one in each of these categories. And now here's where we are. So I'm going to shout out these bullets over and over and over, but what we'd love to draw your attention to that's important here is that we're across indie distributors as well as major labels, so that this truly can be something that's global from a creation, a distribution, and a consumption perspective. And then we're on 20 music services globally, 20 music services. It's very, very important for us to ensure that every genre is available, but again, that it's consumed in the way that people consume music and where they consume music. And regional music is obviously paramount. World music, regional music, depending on how you read those data charts. But the imperative is wonderful because it's realized, right? And you can see wild adoption across the globe of Dolby Atmos music.
How about some stats?
Okay. So we hold ourselves accountable in the same way you do. How are we performing, right? Is anyone listening to the music? Yes. So for 2023, since that's still the Bible for this moment, right, until the end of November, as we all know, there are now 92 of the top 100 in Dolby Atmos available on streaming today.
That's great.
And it's a global number that also fluctuates from month to month, but
we track it weekly. And we're on trend, which is absolutely fantastic and really exciting. The last 8 are, on you. So.
Get busy.
Yeah. Wonderful. And from a Grammy perspective, we're super excited because obviously there are literally thousands of submissions taking place on it every year. And I'm hearing from the community that that's happening again in this moment, right? Because we all know where we are. So in all of the top categories, not only a incredible number of submissions, but all of the nominations were in Dolby Atmos. So of course the winners were.
including
Best Immersive, Alicia Keys, which by the way, she worked on right here in Nashville.
distribution, particularly for independents.
So this is paramount, right? Again, we want to make sure that it's absolutely accessible and that it's also deliverable. This is no small feat, as you all know, because so many of you work in the indie environment. So to ensure that indies are capable of distributing and that all of the functionality is there across that ecosystem, which is a pretty complex technical ecosystem, and that they can deliver to not only regional services but major services is everything for us. It's a big part of our focus.
Yes.
And in terms of studios, thanks to all of your good work and your support, and Emma Brooks and our many integration partners globally, as well as the regional teams at Dolby globally, there are now over 1,100 studios making music in Dolby Atmos every day. And what's also exciting about that is that we learn about these studios from our partners, because we're not a dependency. So this number is probably quite a bit higher. It usually picks up by the hundreds at a time.
Mm-hmm. Tools.
Okay, so fundamental to, as I mentioned, we build not just for you, but with you. We focus significantly on direct integration and as deep as that integration can possibly be. It's a constant iterative process, and again, we need your feedback, but we want to be where you are. We don't want to be a new challenge for you to have to work with. We want to make it easier and easier, removing that friction so that you can work functionally in the way that you want to work. So if you need the button to be green and to the left, then we're going to try to make it green and to the left.
And give you the transport slider.
And give you the transport slider.
Our friend Olivia will bring us into our next slide, which is the greater
Excellent.
ecosystem.
But the real question is, where can you hear it, right? And Ben threw the number earlier. It's fundamentally important to us. It's over 3 billion products that are delivering Dolby Atmos music experiences, and that's not just the mobile device, but it's the pull through across, PC and to the car. So it is, yes, everywhere on tablets, on game stations, et cetera, and certainly broadly across the home and smart speakers and on high-end sound systems.
And again, not an exhaustive list. Of course, these
Oh,
slides
gosh, no.
are just
So just to give you an idea.
just to illustrate.
Exactly. In terms of the experience, you can see again, here is another one of those slides where we couldn't possibly get all the logos on, but you can just get an idea of where we are in that. Quite a bit of this information, by the way, is accessible on our website. It's free, it's open. We love to update it on a constant basis. But if you have any questions, we're here for it. We're very proud, and of course we're sharing with you this weekend the Sonos experience. We're thrilled about the Sonos experience because it is a fidelity opportunity that you have all spoken to us about, and we know that many of you are monitoring on those systems when and where you can. So again, please let us know if you have any questions, but obviously they've been one of our many terrific partners. And of course, sometimes we're where you don't realize we are. In this case, we are, yes, in the Vision Pro. So we began in movies, right? Little reminder on where we began. Dolby Atmos is about 12 and a bit years long, or old, sorry. 12 and a bit years old. And we began in movies, absolutely. So the wonderful news is there are now almost 8,000 cinemas globally that deliver Dolby Atmos experiences. And they're being used for music. In the early days, it's the first way we were able to enjoy Sgt. Pepper on its 50th anniversary. That was in June of 2017. And now it is where we have enjoyed so many compilations, so many, early releases, etc. Sometimes those are fan experiences, sometimes those are friends and family experiences, but they've literally been in hundreds of thousands of theaters. And we have, of course, broad distribution across our OTT partners. So I like to remind everyone that music companies are media companies, and of course there's also all of the derivative work. So as excited as we are about the music-only experience, it's also, of course, the shorts and shorts films. It's also the documentaries. It's also the many wonderful concert films as well as movies in their own right, and those are available on over 80 OTT services also globally. And then cars. So again, the latest number is there are 20 auto manufacturers that are delivering Dolby Atmos experiences, and we're absolutely thrilled. Significant adoption across China, which is thrilling, and then many global brands. And of course, if you haven't had an opportunity to experience the Rivian while you're here today, please make sure you do. We're really, really proud of that opportunity. There's also a Mercedes here for you, and tomorrow we'll enjoy more of that. We'll check translation using that environment. But also there is, of course, the Lucid and the Polestar, the Volvo, the Lotus, because of course, why not? And most recently, Cadillac announced.
The Biebs takes us into the next home stretch here on this one.
All right, so there are a few important call-outs on this. Audiobooks, podcasts, gaming, and live, obviously paramount to our experience. I think it's thrilling that we are often told about Dolby Atmos by our gamer kids. And of course, let's not forget that I know many of you are gamers. So we're very excited about that experience. But most recently, we really have audiobooks and podcasts. In terms of these environments, so the Wondery was the first to announce, and now there's Audible as well. There's also broad adoption again globally. So we're very, very excited about this. And the spoken word, not only for talking heads, but for high-end production opportunities, is really exciting in the automotive environment as well. And then just to double down on that, Harry Potter, I don't know if everyone knows. I mean, this is obviously the global phenomenon that they are, but this is coming in Atmos in multiple languages later in 2025. I mentioned podcasting. Sorry, I skipped ahead. I was just so excited. And And then, of course, a number of prominent podcasts. We are often approached about these opportunities. Again, this is global. And then when I mentioned gaming, we've actually been in Xbox for quite a long time. And the one I'm currently making a little bit of noise about is Call of Duty. But there are a number of games, and certainly Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos are accessible. And then Dolby Live, also the beeps. So Dolby Live is at Park MGM in Las Vegas. It is an incredible, just phenomenal experience. Most recently, I want to say, is Mariah Carey, I believe. Might be Las Bookies. We have had Maroon 5 and the Jonas Brothers and Imagine Dragons and Usher in a residency, by the way, performing live in Dolby Atmos. So really thrilling, and more to come.
All right, I know everybody's been wanting to check their phones, so go ahead and
Do it.
zap these QR codes here so that you are up to date with the most recent tools updates, our events that are going on out there in the world, and our resources, which we're going to get into here in a moment.
I'm often asked about this. Yes, please pull out your phones. Don't be shy. So whenever I go to NAMM, somebody says to me without fail, you should really think about doing webinars.
We should.
We should. It's a good idea. Yeah?
We should think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, we should do it.
And also, like, you should write this stuff down, like an educational curriculum.
We should.
We should.
We did.
We did.
We did it.
Yeah.
And we have done it. And it's been done for a long time. So,
But until absolutely every person knows,
right.
it does not stick. So we need all of you to grab this, sign up, opt in, scroll all the way to the bottom of the page is the answer, by the way. Opt in and tell your friends, please, absolutely sign up. We also capture everything, and everything is made available, again, completely accessible. You don't have to sign anything. You just access it at will. It's on our website and it's on YouTube.
And there are a lot of resources out there on our website and on YouTube. I mean, Dolby Institute, which if you don't know, is our educational and philanthropic arm. They're the ones that create the Dolby Atmos music curriculum that's in over 200 educational institutions globally, and that they can create for your needs out there in the world. They are all about empowering the next generation of creatives. And so everything they do is to put Dolby technologies into the hands of creators and to make the barrier to entry lower and to provide resources and education. So there's the free Dolby Atmos Music Essentials course, which, little secret, it's pretty much the same course that's our friends at Avid and Abbey Road and engineers are using. It's the kind of the chassis that it's built on, right? And then there are bits that are tailored to whatever the needs of the other organizations are.
You see how he did that car thing?
It surrounds you
Yeah.
with education. Also, the Dolby
Immerse.
Music Accelerator, which if you haven't had a chance to check that out, it's a program that Dolby Institute does where they bring together artists and mix engineers to create original music from its inception in Dolby Atmos, goes through the songwriting and recording process together, the mix and mastering process over the course of several days or even several months or weeks in an in-market facility with in-market engineers as mentors, and then they distribute that music out into the world and share it with their friends.
And in fact, several of the artists and creatives who have participated in the program to date have released music in Dolby Atmos, and it is streaming. You are enjoying it now.
There are a ton of tutorial videos on Dolby Institute's site and on our YouTube page and in our knowledge base as well that take you all the way through, like bite-sized pieces that are just how to get up and running, all
Like
the way
2
through
minutes, you can see somebody's hands moving.
through
Yeah.
huge deep dive tutorials of unpacking an entire session and starting from the start all the way through to QC. So there's a ton out there. The YouTube channel has our community sessions, our podcasts, tons of marketing activities that we're doing out there in the world.
And yes, several of your star appearances are in these videos, and certainly your input is in this documentation, and we want more of that. So joking aside, we very much want your input. If you have fresh ideas, please bring them to us. Rewind ideas, please bring those to us. We absolutely love new content, and we're always trying to make it as relevant as possible to you. So if it needs to be longer or shorter or have a different tone, it certainly needs to have a different look, and it needs to have these different tools and so on and so forth, and the workflows that you just imagined. Let's do it.
Yep, and then our professional site, which is professional.dolby.com, has a ton of resources on there. Our best practices documentation, which we continue to iterate on. I think Emma just released a new version of them. Go check those out. Our knowledge base, our forum, our FAQs. The forum is where you can engage with Dolby's engineers on your questions and your needs. It's an interactive forum. People are very active on there, and our engineers are pretty swift to respond and engage. So if you're stuck on something and you need a hand, they're there. Our studios directory is there as well, which has recently been revamped, and there's an amazing new process for joining that list and also perusing it if you'd like to. And you can also grab the PHRTF Creator app and some other Dolby technologies there to assist you in your Dolby Atmos creation journey. The mailing list, which you just signed up for. And then there are fantastic partner sites out there in the world as well that are doing amazing work. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the Engineers platform, which is Derek Ali's platform, which he's doing certification, connecting artists and producers with mix engineers, and a lot of work globally to amplify, including some work that was done here with UMG, Bose, and at East Iris a couple of, like last year.
That's right, Mix
so.
Her, and it was in February, and actually lived with us.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, it was
So,
awesome.
so they're doing great work. Avid, of course, and then there are resources out there that our partners employ for best practices on what their needs are for delivery as well. So, like the Apple Asset Guide or label delivery specs that really get into like the finite details of how to best deliver your Dolby Atmos work to these services to ensure that it's going to be delivered correctly and ultimately consumed correctly as well. These are just some illustrations of what's available out there on those sites that I just mentioned. Everybody get that one? Cool.
Did we do it?
Well, I think we did it.
Okay, so just again, cars. We're really excited about this experience, and I know you know why, but just to touch on it for an extra moment, again, the translation workshop is going to really spotlight how the music is translating from the studio environment to the home and to the car. The cabin obviously is, an incredible opportunity to deliver an experience that you can define. We all know about the car check. And so imperative for us is to not only share that opportunity with you, but really ensure that we've delivered fidelity and translation for you, right? So again, that feedback loop is everything. We're very excited about our automotive partners. They're doing, as they do, an excellent job. And they all do it a little bit differently in terms of how they deliver the imaging. So you also need to be familiar with that so you can make those decisions constructively when you're in the creative process. Yes? Mm-hmm. Excellent. Cars.
Cue Gary Newman. There we go. All right.
Yeah? Questions?
What questions can we answer for you?
Oh, you have me right here. Make a choices. Yes.
I'm curious if you could talk about. I'm just like the live Dolby experiences. What are those? What are they like? How are they being, I guess, delivered? If it's coming in as it's going out.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes, it's important to talk about live in a few different ways, right, as we know. So there's live in-venue experiences, and then there's live streamed experiences, live streamed, let's say, and then there's live streamed, posted live streamed, right? So, want me to do it again? So live in-venue, live posted and delivered later, it may be live, and then there's live, yeah? Okay.
Get it? Got it? Good.
Exactly. Come on in. So live in venue is what the experience is at Dolby Live Park MGM. That is one answer to that question. The other answer is yes, it can also be delivered live, streamed live, broadcast live. There are two different mixes. They're two, just as they are, like at any sporting event or at any awards event, at any concert event that is being delivered in that way. So you've got your in-venue mixer, if you will, your front of house mixer, and then you've got your guy in the truck or person in the other room, or depending on the workflow, there will be a separate person who's producing that piece of the workflow. At Dolby Live, the Dolby Atmos system is permanently installed All of the experiences that you have there, whether it's the background tracks that have been propped and they're being played back, or whether it is a live performance that is being delivered to you live, and yes, you can mix live. Those are all fully enabled on a 365 basis.
Is that the only space that exists in Las Vegas?
In a permanent installation, branded experience manner, yes. But there have been a lot of Dolby Live experiences, and there are others. In fact, Manny American's space at Verse in Los Angeles is now also enabled. And then there have been, as I mentioned, other experiences. There was Kid Cudi at the Mercedes launch, actually, in Paris. There was a Jimmy Kimmel after party several years ago at the Oscars. So just for some examples,
Santana
but there's
House of
certainly,
Blues.
thank you, Santana House of Blues for a number of years in a residency in Las Vegas as well.
Great question. It's a pretty phenomenal experience at Dolby Live,
Yeah.
though, I have to say.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to Las Vegas, but now I do.
No, nobody does. But yeah. Till we have to, right? Then you
But
make the
we
best
love
of
to
it.
have you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Might
it's
actually be able
fantastic.
to experience the sunroom here in not too distant future.
Oh,
so.
nice.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh.
Look at you and G, always breaking out.
See what you get when you come to these things? You get the inside scoop.
Yeah, you come to East Iris, you hang out at the community sessions.
I think we saw a couple other hands.
Yeah, we did. Yes, Sean.
Sean.
Maybe ties to the live performance aspect, but is there intent to have the opportunity for people to make video content with Atmos audio uploadable to social media platforms?
Yes. So you can, I'm going to unpack your question for a moment. You can currently create Atmos content with both with SDR and with Dolby Vision today on your iPhone. So we're clear. Like, that's how accessible it is. And you can now, what platform supports you uploading what to in what format? That is a different, more detailed response, and that's just about where they are with adoption.
I mean, specifically, like a YouTube, is that in the pipeline of being able to be a piece of the puzzle?
All things you ask me are going to be yes. Yes.
The car check.
Yes.
And with all these auto manufacturers coming on board, is the ability to sideload your ADM.
It depends.
Consideration?
It absolutely. It depends on the car company and how they've implemented it. There are a couple that have the thumb drive available today. There are those that have not. So it genuinely just depends on what they've implemented. Certainly, we are working to inspire it.
Seems like a lot of the infotainment systems are moving away from a physical connection with your personal device too.
And yet, yes, that's accurate. But a few of them have made exceptions. One, for the reason that they share your passion. Mercedes is a terrific example that you'll be able to exercise tomorrow. There are a couple more coming, I promise. But yeah, it is just a matter of those decisions and, again, on our journey and discussion. Also, I think you'll see an evolution of, there's the way that someone or a car company will roll out in this moment, and then there's the way that they may roll out in the future. Yes.
Hi. One more.
Don't be shy.
The ability to stream Atmos content from, say, Mac OS to a professional system in a larger channel count than 714.
We hear you.
Yeah, that would be a huge reality for people to be able to check things in the workflow effectively. without
Noted.
A large, expansive AVR receiver or something in the middle of that. So that's just something that I feel like someone needs to just press the button or something. But it would be a huge deal to help for creation and translation.
Understood. So two things. One, were it that we could press the button on that one, but agreed. And it would be amazing if everyone in the room sent an email on that.
Can you give us
For real.
Where do we
Yeah.
send it? Yeah. Who wants these ones?
Oh, no. Yeah, no. Greg will take it.
One thing I will mention is just 2 days, Mac OS Sequoia launches with the ability to actually pass at that's a huge
Yeah.
leap. Again, feel free to email me, greg.chin@dolby.com. I can double check the actual channel count, but it's at minimum 7 to 4 over HDMI. But of course, no one's going to update their OS.
And just so we're clear, that's literally, but that's resulting directly from feedback we get from you all. Very genuinely, we do. I am glad that you raised that, and it is always raised, by the way. Yeah. More questions? Yes, sir.
Related to what you just said, is there going to be future plans for playback out of Apple Music through HDMI on a computer, or referencing on a Studio Atmos system?
In terms of Apple Music over the computer, HDMI,
Yes.
that happens Monday.
So that's with Sequoia.
Look at Greg.
Awesome.
Just pushing the button.
Yep. Your solution comes quick.
You can also do it with virtual time cards.
Questions? How are we on time?
We're right at perfect time. I think I heard the voice of Jeff Huskins right there. No, we're good.
Did he just yell, "Baby girl"? Well, get in here.
Yeah, we've got 15 minutes till the next session.
I love it. Any more questions? Yes.
Very quick question. Sorry to ask again.
Of course. No, not at all.
You mentioned audiobooks for Atmos. Could you expand on that?
You say it again.
Audiobooks.
Audiobooks.
Yes. Yes. In which part is your question?
I'm curious. Normally, when I think of audiobooks, we think about just recording a voice, often mono. How does that translate to Atmos? Like,
Yeah.
What's kind of the difference in production there?
Yeah, it's interesting. I love this space because I spend so much time. I call it books on tape, because you're going to edit this so I can say I'm old. Okay. No, I love the topic of audiobooks because I think it's a really special environment. I do spend myself a tremendous amount of time consuming audiobooks. Two things. One, even with the spoken voice, and you all know because you're working in Atmos, there is a level of depth and clarity, and also the spatialization for me. Don't judge me, but it adds warmth for me. It adds, volume, not volume, right, for me. So that alone is very special from my experience. But I really want to emphasize the clarity piece. I cannot tell you how much can be gained from the clarity of Atmos and audiobooks. It is a challenge that I'm constantly faced with when something is not in Atmos, and I'm constantly adjusting the volume because I'm not hearing those words as clearly as I could, as well as I need to, frankly, because my hearing is also evolving. Then you add the high production value content. That's incredible. I mean, the opportunity is everything that you have at your disposal for music. It's as vast as you can imagine it to be. So really, it's about what you would like to do with it, but it can be as simple as you would like it to be, as, let's say, an acoustic music piece. For an example, I would rationalize to the spoken word audiobook in its simplest form. And then I think as expressive as you would like it to be from a higher end production value. My take.
Yep.
I'll say I've worked on quite a few for Audible actually, and the sound design, like audio drama kind of stuff, is the big thing. When you have like a war thing with guns shooting over your head and all that kind of stuff, that's where they're really leaning into it.
Yeah. You know who's done some incredible work? I know it's podcasting, but it's got the same opportunity. It's the Q Code work that you can consume. The work that they've done in Atmos is absolutely stunning. I cannot tell you, like, the crunch of the snow and the quiet of the quiet. I mean, it's moving. It's music.
The left-right game in particular is
stunning.
really stunning.
Absolutely.
Really fantastic.
Yeah, you hear the dark of night, Anyone else?
Groovy.
I have a question then on that.
Yeah.
Does Atmos then, in those formats and so forth, take into effect the dynamic range compression and so forth, like the dial norm settings? of past technologies.
Yeah, do you want to speak to that, Greg?
So in terms of it's similar to what you would do in audio post. It does take it into consideration. However, one thing I'll just quickly mention that applies to both the previous thing and this is the psychoacoustic nature of having your brain attached to something.
Yeah.
So having now being having something now kind of something as simple as the human voice, one singular human voice now exists in the Dolby Atmos space. Those norms, remember, are there because of specific limitations for the delivery and what you're able to do in that current technology.
Right.
A lot of that is removed, but it doesn't mean that you have to remove it from the way you create the content. It's just that you're in a different format. So what Christine was saying about the kind of the warmth and the clarity, a lot of that is just the nature of the psychoacoustic nature of now being able to kind of have your heart, brain, and everything all together, kind of understand that this voice is here, and it unpacks a lot of what the previous stereo work unpack in a good way, because now you're able to actually place it where it really should be. So really depends, and I think someone over here had said that they're working in the podcast area. You want to certainly look at what the deliverable spec is, and you can still apply that, but you do have a lot more freedom now in terms of how you're able to work, and it automatically creates again, because of this nature of it, more clarity and just immediate kind of benefit.
And then the automotive environment, it's really important as well because you've got all kinds of extra, again, noise that's really impactful when you're listening to the quiet or simplicity of a voice.
Yeah.
Right? And you need to connect with the words, right? So that specificity, we might give up a little bit when we're consuming other kinds of content. You really can't forego that because otherwise you need to rewind, and that's a whole other thing. And in the automotive environment, podcasts really shine for the same reason that Greg is articulating. Is it really allows you to define a position, if you will, right, for that voice or for that maybe effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking about that because one of the greatest things that I love about Atmos is its ability to conform to the listener's side of things.
Yeah.
So like being able to create audio books with a full soundtrack, and I've worked on some of those in the past, and the biggest problem that we had was dealing with dynamic range. Because when you're listening on headphones, ambiances may be overwhelming, but you get in the car and all you hear is the voice. Everything else is wiped out by the the sound of the road.
So you're trusting in translation of Dolby Atmos.
Right. So
it's like we are here talking about this.
So being able to have metadata, which evolves the mix at the user's end.
Yep.
So depending on if they're listening in the kitchen and so forth, and what the car manufacturers are able to set for low dynamic range, wide dynamic range, and things like that.
And whether they're going to turn it up or not when you're speeding,
Yeah.
or just considering road noise or something like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many opportunities.
Yeah.
And they're experimenting with all of them, which is thrilling. Yeah.
Very cool.
Good question. All right. Anyone else? We're here for yes.
Yeah, I'm curious if anyone in the room has any experience with adjusting deliverables for sync for picture anticipation. The quad was the thing for a long time now with Atmos, and physical bandwidth the bandwidth limitations of some speakers, and how post-production mixers want to retain the center channel for their dialogue. Is there any discussion amongst, here's my ADM, the post-production mixer can just tell that to redirect all signal from the center channel to the left and the right and leave that available?
No, go ahead.
So was somebody?
Yes, that's a big one.
Yeah, so it is. It's dependent on who you're working with, right? Typically, if that needs to be done, where whoever's taking all of the ADMs and all the material needs for that to happen, it'll normally need to come back to you. But normally, you'll know that it's normally a part of the spec, and they'll tell you, hey, we know that you're gonna kind of this is going to be mixed for picture. This is what we'll need. And a lot of times it is that they're going to kind of rely, they're going to need that center channel available. Sometimes there's some stuff with LFE, and but typically, again, you'll know that, and you'll be able to leverage Phantom Center the way you normally would, and it won't be an issue at that point. You know, they'll retain that center channel, but you'll usually like 9.8 out of 10 times know that beforehand. Now, if you do get into the situation, you're not probably, unless you're handing over the entire session, which I know that is the case sometimes, but typically they'll come back to you as the mixer and say, this is what we're going to need. But you know, you may have that relationship with the company where you can let them know they do have the session. You can let them know, yeah, you can go ahead and pull it out and push it out as you need to. But again, 9 out of 10 times it's going to come back to you directly. But you'll know beforehand. And you should ask, by the way, if you find yourself in that situation and you don't, they haven't provided a spec sheet or a requirement sheet, ask for that.
And this is certainly being contemplated, and I would say it this way. Certainly specs have been carefully devised by the content, let's say the owners, the labels, in this case. As distribution opportunities present for different types of content, I think you'll see that they're anticipating defining the specs and making those as readily available to you as possible.
Are you guys involved with those discussions?
We are always, yeah, we work very closely with the labels to ensure that what we're recommending as best practices and or guidelines, which we try to maintain that level of that bar, if you will, that they're aligned with theirs for all the right reasons. One, that we're giving you the best possible information we can and setting expectations. Should you be referencing our site first or our folks first? But two, they may be coming to us because we may be part of the early experimentation phase. So for all of the right reasons, again, we are collaborating constantly. And in fact, if a label is updating their spec, they generally will share that with us early on, and we can review it together and exercise any gaps.
Yeah. Seems like a potential workflow bottleneck in the not too distant future. A lot of people doing popular music.
Trust.
One thing I don't think I saw if they mentioned was the audiovisual system manufacturers, or QSC, Extron, whatever, where you might be playing something back in a bar, restaurant, theme park, and typically we have things like ambient level compensation. As the noise level changes, the audio is going to change. Is any of that being incorporated yet?
Some of that is, so there's many different layers to that. There is the layer, so Christine kind of mentioned, and certainly like on the car manufacturer side, where they're taking road noise into consideration and automatic kind of leveling. That's a little bit different than what you're talking about. But there are third party things that are outside of any of the audio deliverables that kind of handle that. Thinking about theme parks in particular. I'm not aware of specifically what we're working on at Dolby. I mean, I'm very laser focused on renderer, internal rendering, and album assembler currently. It's definitely something I can look into. I don't want to give you a false answer and say, well, yeah, we're doing X, Y, or Z. I actually don't know, and that's okay for me to say I don't know because I don't want to mislead anyone. But I do know that in terms of, you have several stages of deliverable when that deliverable is now out and being pushed out, from whatever the source is when it's decoded. There are several different layers depending on the situation where it could hit something else that will handle those channels discreetly. But in terms of Dolby in particular, I can't answer that. I don't know. I can certainly find out.
We're certainly aware of it, and certainly normalization is something that we partner with others on, and then ultimately they implement it, right? Yeah, good question.
All right.
Are we ready?
I think we're ready. Thank you, everybody. We'll come back at 2:10 with Jeff. All right? Great.